Robert, this is Lieutenant Sullivan with Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office. We need you to step out of that travel trailer, show us your hands, and walk back to us.
A wild standoff in Oklahoma, but turns out the man they were looking for was just a regular meat and potatoes kind of guy.
The hamburger? Yeah, I wish I could have ate one with him.
How they finally got him to say cheese for his mugshot.
Well, if that's what it took to get him out, then you betcha.
Plus, it started with a used condom, a pair of pink panties, and the body of a 24-year-old Edmond man lying undiscovered for days.
It's kind of freaky.
Tonight, a prostitution ring and estate on the other side of the country, and the tangled and twisted tale between lovers.
Their intent was to go on the run and flee.
All of it coming together to provide the missing link. What happened to Sawyer English?
You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 10.
And that's where we begin. A bullet hole marking the spot of a high-profile crime scene in Edmond.
Tonight, 2 arrests in the murder of 24-year-old Sawyer English.
Those arrests shedding new light on a possible motive.
Police say the son of a former local TV personality was the target in a deadly love triangle that spanned across more than 1,200 miles.
News 4's Peyton Yeager live right now outside of the Edmond PD. And Peyton, you are learning that this investigation led police all the way to Florida.
Yeah, Eli, one of Sawyer English's friend actually tipped off police saying that the 2 accused were flying under the radar in Florida. And then a fake prostitution date gave detectives a split second to crack the case.
I still have compassion for these children that did this to my child.
Sawyer English's mother on Facebook hours after hearing that 2 people were arrested in her son's murder.
Like, jealousy causes people to kill people.
Police say that jealous rage started after George Watson learned his girlfriend Lindsay Mayeb was having a relationship with English.
Don't know the extent of that relationship. Don't know if it was a friendship or beyond that.
The 2 allegedly driving to the 24-year-old's home in the early morning hours of June 24th to shoot him through a window. Police say multiple bullets hit English in the back.
Their intent was to go on the run.
The alleged killers dropping off the map after the murder. English's body eventually found days later, his co-workers saying he didn't show up to work all week. Edmond PD getting a tip from mutual friends about where Watson and Mayab were hiding.
The 2 did go to Florida, and that's where they have been ever since.
Detectives tracking Mayab down on an escort website in St. Augustine, setting up an appointment to meet her at a nearby hotel, offering $250 an hour for sex. Allegedly sending the undercover lawman a text saying, quote, anything goes and condoms are a must, in addition to offering discounts for a referral program. Last week, investigators on the case uncovering evidence collected from the 24-year-old's home, including a used condom in the trash, as well as female panties under the bed, possibly to swab for DNA. Police say pieces still missing to this puzzle. Sawyer's father, Mitch English, recently moved to Florida after his time as a local news personality in Oklahoma City. He told News 4 he doesn't recognize either Watson or Mayeb.
Somebody that he probably didn't know either took his life. I think if had that person known him, I'm certain that we wouldn't be talking right now.
The 2 suspects are charged with first-degree murder, and they're no stranger to the law. They face several drug felony charges here in Oklahoma County. Reporting live at the Edmond Police Department, Peyton Yeager, Oklahoma's News 4.
Thank you, Peyton. The state's largest online school program now speaking out about bombshell accusations of financial wrongdoing at Epic Charter Schools.
For every student of which they recruit, $200 are added to their bonus fund, which appears to be a pyramid scheme to attract more students.
We're even finding out that some of them are dual enrolled in EPIC and then also in a private school. So here are the public tax dollars possibly going to pay tuition for the private school or for outside activities as well.
That was a story News 4 first told you about back in February. The OSBI looking into whether Epic Charter Schools pocketed millions of dollars by inflating enrollment counts and cashing in on students who didn't even exist. Now, Epic's side of the story, who's saying they're actually considering legal action and that they're confident they didn't do anything illegal. This was emailed to News 4 earlier today saying, this latest attack comes at a time when our growth makes status quo education lobbying groups uncomfortable. It continues. We are considering legal action to combat what we believe is a coordinated effort to damage our school, our co-founders, and our staff.
More details now on a murder conviction overturned. Corey Atchison reunited with loved ones today. It's been a long time. Tonight, he is a free man after a Tulsa County judge declared him innocent. Atchison serving nearly 30 years behind bars, maintaining his innocence the entire time. And tonight, News 4's Jacqueline Chappell with more on what the judge called a miscarriage of justice.
Eli, attorneys for Corey Atchison say that he was convicted on a single testimony from a witness in this case. That witness has since come forward to say that they were coerced by police.
After nearly 30 years behind bars, a stunning decision in Tulsa County. Corey Atchison is now a free man.
I'm feeling blessed. Man, it's unbelievable. Blessed.
Back in 1991, Atchison was convicted in what police called a gang-related killing of James Warren Lane. A Tulsa County judge now ruling it was a crime he didn't commit.
It hits you and you move on. Like every time you trip, it's like a trip. You fall, you got to get back up and you move on, because if you dwell on it, it's going to tear you down.
It was testimony from just one witness that sent Atchison to the slammer. The verdict, life in prison. Nearly 3 decades later, that witness decided to speak out, coming forward saying they were coerced by police. Moments after the announcement of Atchison's release, the assistant district attorney also coming forward, saying at the time the state didn't do anything wrong.
I don't even know that those matters should have been considered by the court at this stage. We had a trial years ago.
Atchison just ready to move forward with his new normal.
I can't hold no grudge. Life's too short. You know, I got some time with this little guy. You know what I'm saying, to make him into a man.
And the Tulsa District Attorney says the prosecution is planning to appeal the judge's ruling. Jacqueline Chappell, Oklahoma's News 4.
Thank you, Jacqueline. More than 2 decades ago, the first MAPS projects transformed a desolate downtown into a tourist attraction.
And still today, MAPS has changed the way that we fund growth in Oklahoma City. It's also helped other cities with their own renewal plans.
As we embark on a possible MAPS 4, News 4's Lacey Lett talks with the mayors who helped guide those projects along the way.
It all started with the campaign Believe in Our Future in the early 90s. The future is now the past, and these are the men reflecting on how it turned out.
Trying to attract jobs, trying to bring industry in, and nobody wanted to come. And finally just figured out that it was really a quality of life issue. And I'm not going to second guess them.
Then Mayor Ron Nork was a driving force behind MAPS 1. The simple idea was to pay before you build. The 1-cent sales tax generated the money for MAPS projects before they broke ground, an idea that hadn't been tried here before.
We didn't know exactly how much tax we were going to get. We kind of projected it and tried to be conservative. We had some ballpark ideas on how much everything would cost. And it was important that we got all the projects done.
Project like a new downtown library, arena, Oklahoma River improvements, and a new ballpark. But less than 2 years into planning MAPS, tragedy struck.
For about the next year, MAPS was really put on the, I won't say put on the shelf, but it was kind of put on the shelf because we had just so many other things that needed to be done.
But as Oklahoma City recovered, MAPS moved forward. The ballpark opened first in 1998, just 2 days after Nork left office.
Kirk and I both threw out the first pitch, and I think people at that point, they said, aha, I think I got it. I think I see what they're trying to do.
This is not just about bricks and mortar.
Mayor Kirk Humphreys wanted to continue MAPS. He focused on public schools. Officials who toured the aging schools used words like prisons to describe them.
They want to fix the school system, but they don't have any money and they'll never get it done. And the city manager said, well, we could do a MAPS for schools. And being the visionary, I said, really? How would that work?
MAPS for Kids passed with a 61% majority in 2001. The $700 million project repaired or rebuilt 70 schools.
Now they're good, and we hope the school district is able to, with their new initiative, get things done inside those classrooms that fix those schools.
Talk about MAPS 3 and be accepting of ideas.
When Mick Cornett took office in 2004, the city looked different.
By the time we got along to MAPS 3, we weren't so desperate anymore. Things were looking better. The Thunder were here.
and people felt pretty good. And I felt like we had to push a message of how we're going to go from good to great.
But not without opposition from those who didn't want another MAPS.
Not this MAPS!
In 2010, the $777 million program passed. Sidewalks, the streetcar, state fairground improvements are all complete. Scissortail Park and the Convention Center in the works. Keeping a new generation here is a driving motivation.
One of the things that we kind of wanted to always do was create a city where highly educated young people would want to move here from places like Texas and California, and we'd be able to keep the young people that grew up here. Well, that's all happening.
It's been more than 25 years since the first MAPS passed, the canal transforming the look of Bricktown, and the upcoming Scissortail Park and Convention Center altering the south side of downtown. All three programs represent about $2 billion in sales tax revenue paid for by you. Now it will be up to you to decide if a MAPS 4 will also become a part of our city's legacy. In downtown Oklahoma City, Lacey Lett, Oklahoma's News 4.
And Thursday at 10, we're going to talk with current Mayor David Holt about what a possible MAPS 4 could bring to Oklahoma City.
He's got a unique vision. One of his predecessors says that it could be a challenge.
And speaking of a challenge for the city, the rest of us trying to deal with all of the heat.
Oh, that is the truth. And paramedics actually responding to more than a dozen heat-related calls today alone. Mike, the bad news is it seems like it's only just beginning.
Well, the majority of those were actually admitted to the ER as well, guys. So it was serious heat today. Norman 100 for the first time this summer. Chickasha 101 today, first time this summer. Where do we go from here? But the answer might surprise you a bit. I've got that forecast for you next.
Plus, we're on a roll with this next story here. The well-done arrest by law enforcement in Pottawatomie County. How they used a hamburger to do it. It's next.
You're watching Oklahoma's News 4 at 10 with Jolene Cheney, Kevin Ogle, Mike Morgan, Brian Brinkley, and Scott Hines in your corner. Oklahoma's News 4, looking out for you.
Fast food and good police work save the day.
Fast food and good police work saved the day in Potawatomi County. The suspect surrendering with a little more to look forward to than just his arrest. News 4's Cassandra Sweetman live on what one man did to get his hands on a burger. Cassandra.
That's right. It's a dangerous situation deputies find themselves in frequently. Luckily, they were able to think outside the box to de-escalate the moment before it became violent.
Robert, this is Lieutenant Sullivan with Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office.
Guns drawn, deputies on edge. They've got a motorhome surrounded, the man inside possibly armed.
It's a very dangerous situation.
One that all started when McLeod police tried pulling over Robert Scott for making an illegal turn. Instead of stopping, he allegedly drove home and disappeared into the motorhome. Other agencies called in to help. That's when it turned into a high-risk scenario.
Sounds like he's got a gun. I think he said he had a gun.
Lieutenant Travis Sullivan trying to calmly talk him out of the trailer.
We need you to step out of that travel trailer, show us your hands, and walk back to us.
When that didn't work, they tried him on his cell phone.
Yeah.
That's when Scott explains to Lieutenant Sullivan he was just on his way to get a burger at Curtis Watson's when he realized he forgot his cell phone. He turned around to go back home to get it. In his rush for a juicy burger, he says he didn't see officers trying to pull him over in the first place. That's when Sheriff Mike Booth came up with the idea, making Scott an offer he just couldn't refuse.
You want that cheeseburger?
Yeah.
All right, let's go get a cheeseburger.
And they did, getting him the very cheeseburger he was going to get in the first place.
So he came out and we talked about stuff and why he was sitting there eating his hamburger and drinking his Coke. And the end result was the decision was made that, he was going to jail. If that's what helps get him out, well, I'll go buy him a hamburger. I don't have a problem with that.
Now, we tried to reach Scott and his family for comment, but they declined to speak to us for this story.
All right, and we do have some breaking news to tell you about right now. We are told that there is a possible gunshot victim right now at this hour. All of this happening at I-240 in Santa Fe this evening, just happening moments ago. You're looking live at the scene right now.
They are processing the scene. You can see officers there on the scene of this accident here, or a man showing up to a Metro hospital after being shot. We're still gathering more details. Our crews just got on scene there, but we'll have more information possibly by the end of this newscast as well on our website, KFOR.com, and News 4 Morning Edition.
Now, forewarned weather with Mike Morgan.
14 heat-related calls today here in Oklahoma City, and the majority of those went to the ER. So, folks, it's pretty serious heat out there. The heat-humidity combination. Let's take a look outside on this Tuesday evening. And, is it still ever warm out there? Parts of the metro are still struggling to drop below 90 degrees right now. Yeah, that'd be summertime in Oklahoma. 86 right now at K4, and the humidity running a pretty toasty 65% with a 73 dew point south wind around 10. 69 our low. That's the last of the cool or the mild for a while. And 99 our daytime high. Lawton was 105 today. The heat index down at Lake Texoma was 115 today. The heat index at Lake Eufaula was 114 this afternoon. Elk City sunset from one of our regulars, Eric, out there in western Oklahoma. Some splashes of color. Right now, it's a lot of heat. 90 in Edmond right now. 88 in Norman, 91 in Okarche, 91 in Kingfisher, mid-80s to low 90s in western Oklahoma. Very muggy, but not quite as warm up around Ponca City. Good reason for that. It rained up there today, and I'll show that to you coming up. Heat index values are still running well up in the 90s in a pretty good part of the metro. So the moral of that story is it'll be a leg up quickly tomorrow on a hot day. Heat index still down in southern Oklahoma in the upper 90s right now. So a heat alert or a heat warning in effect for tomorrow. Most of central, northern, northeastern Oklahoma. Heat advisory, which could easily be expanded into the more serious heat alert for southern and eastern Oklahoma. Some thunderstorms today came out of southern Kansas. There was a tank battery fire up in Manchester on the Kansas-Oklahoma border. These rolled down into Kay County. And this is from Miss Webb up there in Kay County from the Bremen area at 4 o'clock. Some pretty good sized tree limbs down, 70 to 75 mile per hour winds. It's on the edge of the cap or the lid, which is now building into Oklahoma, responsible for the increased heat that we had today in our state. They went up here and they moved to the south and to the southeast, and it sprinkled all the way down to Guthrie, and then they dried up. pretty good rain east and southeast of Enid there for a while this afternoon as well. But the heat dome is now pushing in, located down here in New Mexico. That's going to put an end to any storm chances as the remnants of Barry move completely out of the picture. Barry was just close enough to let the jet stream swing into northern Oklahoma today to trigger those thunderstorms up in the northern parts of our state, and that changes for tomorrow. So a lot of sunshine, a lot of exposure, a lot of heat tomorrow, and rapidly getting hot in the morning. Upper 70s for lows tonight, upper 90s for the metro. Lots of sunshine tomorrow, not many clouds. The IMSA heat alert, it does continue. 78 for our low tonight, and from 75 to near 80 for metro lows. It'll be dry overnight tonight. There might be a couple of showers later tonight in northwestern Oklahoma, but nothing major there. And lows mostly middle to upper 70s. 98 tomorrow. Some folks in the metro will probably tap 100 again with a breezy southerly wind. 12 to 24 for your Wednesday. There are your metro highs from 97 to about 101. And statewide from the mid 90s in eastern Oklahoma to the low 100s. Parts of central, northwestern, and southwestern Oklahoma for highs. Similar story for Thursday, mid 90s to very low 100s as well. Let's go to the 7-day plus 4. Some good news here. A lot of folks really don't enjoy this kind of extreme heat, especially with the added extra humidity that we have. Well, the good news is, got to wait a while to get it, but it'll arrive here a little bit later on. After this mini heat wave with highs from basically 97 to about 100 each and every day, including your weekend here with lows in the upper 70s, a jet stream shift appears to be in order Tuesday of next week, and it should ease the temperatures back into the lower 90s as we head toward later Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. Sometimes, guys, those can just melt and go away, but it appears to be a wholesale change, which should bring some less hot temperatures in here, so we can be happy about 92 degrees.
Yeah, 92 is
which
looking
also
really
makes
good
us
today,
Oklahoma
right?
in the summer as well.
Okay,
Right?
all right, Mike. Thank you so much for that. And when you wake up in the morning, get your first forecast, your forewarn in the morning, with Damian Lodes and the marvelous Emily Sutton.
A small gesture that's getting players in big trouble. All talk on the horns of Big 12 Media Day.
And the Thunder says goodbye. Westbrook's final moments of thunder. We've got it next.
Hello, sports, it's happening. Panic, everyone.
Now, sports with Dylan Buckingham.
This is the final moments of the first era of Thunder basketball. Thunder GM Sam Presti paid one last visit to Russell Westbrook at his basketball camp in OKC today before the Westbrook trade to Houston became official. And ironically enough, almost 50 years to the day of the moon landing, Russell Westbrook became an official member of the Houston Rockets. And as a final send-off, Sam Presti paid Westbrook the ultimate compliment. He said of Russell Westbrook is the most important player in the brief history of the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's left an indelible mark on the team, city, and state. None of us could have anticipated the player he has become, and we are all deeply proud of what he has contributed to the success of the franchise and to our community. He went on to wish Westbrook's entire family well. Meanwhile, it was the second and final day of Big 12 football media days, and surprisingly, a simple hand gesture stole the show and the headlines. Here's Brian Brinkley and Nate Fakin.
Brian Brinkley and Nate Fakin here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Day 2 of Big 12 football media days here at the home of the Dallas Cowboys, also the home of the Big 12 championship game where OU and Texas met last year.
It's a simple question, Brian. Horns up or horns down?
That was once again a topic. The Big 12 coordinator of officials said today that a penalty will be called if horns down is thrown and it's deemed to be in a taunting manner.
Do I take it personally? Maybe a little bit. This is like right here. That's our family. That's why we work so hard. It kind of represents a lot. So when someone puts it down, it's like someone kind of disrespecting your family. So it's a fine line of not getting too worked up about it, but using it just as some kind of healthy motivation.
Obviously, the team most in danger of getting that penalty, Oklahoma.
That's right, and they've had back-to-back Heisman winners, as we all know, and Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. I talked with another Heisman winner who has some OU connections, former USC star Matt Leinart, who had plenty to say about new Sooners quarterback Jalen Hurts.
I think he's the type of guy that's going to fit in great. I think he needs to just be his own player and not try to live up to the standard of those guys. It's kind of what you have to do as a player, just be who you are. And I think Lincoln Riley, he will and has done a great job of taking what he has and adapting and making those guys better, because he's got a tremendous athlete in Jalen Hurts and a really good football player.
Hurts and the Sooners are the favorites to win the Big 12 championship for a 5th straight year. The Big 12 title will be decided here in Arlington on December 7th. The season starts in 6.5 weeks. For Nate Fakin, I'm Brian Brinkley, Oklahoma's News 4 Sports.
Thanks, guys. Excellent work. For much more on Russell Westbrook, go to KFOR.com. We're back after this.
Welcome back with those 14 heat-related calls today. Everybody be safe out there. Heat index just as high tomorrow as it was today, 105 to 110 here in the metro. The heat wave lasts right on through about Monday, and then we're going to see a bit of a change, a bit less hot, low 90s, and lows will drop down about 5 to 10 degrees as well. But that's a ways off, so we got to get all through this first.
I try to make a joke about it, but there's nothing funny about that forecast, Mike.
Pretty serious heat.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good night.